Welcome into TalkFCB and welcome back here to the channel, guys. This one right here is a big one. It's about Neymar and it is the full picture. Should we sign him? Should we bring him back from Paris Saint-Germain? The man who left in 2017, who left many of us so angry, so frustrated, so hurt deep down. Should Neymar return this summer? That is the €222 million question, and in this video we are going to be discussing every single angle. I've got positives, I've got negatives, I've got a bit in between, and I've also got some stats as well to bring you guys. We are discussing this and we are making sure that we have all the details, because this is a very crucial moment in our summer plans. What will happen next? Because right now, guys, we simply have to talk about this and we have to really entertain the possibility that Neymar will be returning to Barcelona this summer. What we know right now is that Barcelona most definitely want to try and bring him back, and we also know that Neymar wants to leave PSG, and interestingly enough, Paris Saint-Germain are indeed, if the right offer arrives for all parties, they will let Neymar go this summer. So for sure, this could happen. And as you know, guys, I do try and be as positive as I possibly can on the channel, so we are going to kick off here with two potential positives with the return of Neymar, and then we are going to come on to some negatives as well. But I want to start here talking about Neymar as a person, his quality, his characteristics, his mentality, because for me, when you look at Neymar as a player, I would describe him as a match winner. He is a match-winning player with match-winning qualities, because aside from Lionel Messi right now, when you look at our team, maybe we'll bring in Griezmann, maybe that'll happen, but at the same time, aside from that, who do you look at in that team and think, right, he's a match winner? On the big occasion, he will step up. Because a player there that you can rely on in big moments, in season-defining games, big Champions League nights, where do we look, aside from Messi, when we need something special? Luis Suárez, 32 years old now, he won't have the consistent match-winning moments that he once did in a Barcelona shirt. There's no doubt about that. Certainly last season in the Champions League, when it really came down to it, he didn't really take full advantage of those chances. Then Philippe Coutinho, somebody brought in to be a match winner, and perhaps in the right role, with the right confidence, he could achieve that at Barcelona. But right now, it just doesn't look like happening. And if Neymar were to return to Barcelona, I would certainly expect Philippe Coutinho to be on his way out this summer. And then finally, of course, you guys all know I'm a huge believer in Ousmane Dembele, his quality, his talent. But right now, he's not yet a talisman. He's not somebody who you can fully rely on, and he hasn't fully established himself as a big game player in match-defining moments as of right now. Certainly, I'd love him, and I certainly do expect him to go on and reach that role, but he's not quite there yet. We need somebody who can win games, because aside from Messi, we don't have that right now, and we shouldn't just rely on Messi. It would be nice to bring somebody in to take that workload off Messi, to take that pressure and the dependence off of Messi's shoulders, and just share it around a bit. And Neymar has certainly proven in the past that he can play that role, and for me, he is a match-winning player. And don't just take my word for it either, because we have some stats coming up here for you guys. Sit back and relax now, because we are going to be looking at Neymar's goals, at Neymar's assists, at his performances, and also in comparison to the rest of our match-winning players right now. So if we look at the Champions League and the domestic league first and foremost, so Neymar in the Champions League last season, but also Suárez, Coutinho and Dembele in the Champions League last season, and we also look here at their stats in La Liga and for Neymar in Liga 1. Now last season, in the Champions League, Neymar, 6 appearances, 5 goals, 2 assists. Suárez, only 1 Champions League goal last season. He got 6 assists there in 10 appearances. Coutinho, 3 goals and 3 assists in 12 games. Double the number there of games in the Champions League than Neymar, but clearly there, Neymar still ahead in terms of goals and just 1 assist behind. And with Ousmane Dembele, just 8 appearances in the Champions League, 3 goals in his favour and 1 assist there as well. And in the domestic league, Neymar, 15 goals and 8 assists in 17 appearances. Suárez scored 21 goals in La Liga with 6 assists. Coutinho, just 5 goals and 2 assists last campaign in La Liga. And Ousmane Dembele, 8 goals and 5 assists. So Neymar there with some very good numbers. But it's the Champions League right now that most concerns me. Particularly as a Barcelona fan, that is what we want. And when you look at Neymar's record in the Champions League over both his time at Barcelona and also at Paris Saint-Germain, it makes for very good reading. Neymar has a total of 53 Champions League appearances to his name with Barcelona and with Paris Saint-Germain. In that time, he scored 32 goals and provided 23 assists. That is good good quality there. And those numbers there equal 55 direct goal contributions in those 53 games that he's played. And based on the minutes that he's actually played in the Champions League, he equals a goal contribution every 83 minutes of play, which is massively, massively impressive in the Europe's elite competition. Neymar, very, very clinical. And it's important here that we don't just look at the stats. We have to remember, we have to look back, particularly at the performances in the Champions League in a Barcelona shirt, particularly when you look at our win back in 2015, and the fact that Neymar scored in every single game from the quarterfinal stage. Every single tie he scored in. He scored in both legs, home and away against Paris Saint-Germain, both legs, home and away in the semi-final there against Pep Guardiola's Bayern Munich, and then of course he scored in the final at the death against Juventus, and that right there is what we need right now. We need match-winning performances, big game players who can step up when you really, really need them. And certainly in the past, like I said before, Neymar has played that role. And even at the very end of his time with Barcelona, of course you have to look back at one of the best nights any of us have experienced as Barcelona fans, the comeback against Paris Saint-Germain themselves, and Neymar, for sure, was the driving force behind that. On that night, he took it by the scruff of the neck, he drove us on, he really got us back in the game, scoring big goals, creating them as well, really, really stepping up there in another big, big moment. And from his entire period with Barcelona, the numbers again make for some stunning reading. 186 appearances for Barcelona in total, scoring 105 goals, 76 assists. And in the minutes again that he's played there, it translates as a goal contribution every 85 minutes of play. And for Paris Saint-Germain, the numbers are even more extraordinary. 58 games, 51 goals, 29 assists, which equals a goal contribution there every 63 minutes of play. And even for Liga 1, that is very, very impressive. But you might be thinking at this stage now, where exactly are the negatives coming from? Neymar, top quality player, has done it before for Barcelona, and of course he has done it in the Champions League. Where exactly do the negatives come in? Well, that is now where we move on to the injury concerns surrounding Neymar and surrounding his time if he was to return to Barcelona. Because like I say, the quality is there. It's there for everybody to see. The numbers, the performances, you can't lie. Neymar is a world-class player. But the real question right now is how often would we get to see that player? How often would he be out there 100% focused and 100% fit? Because one of the biggest current negatives surrounding Neymar it simply has to be his injury record. During his time with PSG, he has been so injury prone, and especially given the amount of criticism that Ousmane Dembele gets, he's known as an injury ravaged player, somebody you can't rely on. Some people will certainly throw that at him as a criticism. Well, Neymar is worse. Neymar over the last 2 seasons has been injured even more so than Ousmane Dembele has. In the last season, Neymar missed 23 games in total with a few different injuries, particularly there at the end of the season in the crucial period when it came to those Champions League games. Neymar in the knockout stages wasn't there because of an injury. And in the season before, it was very much the same story for Neymar, with 21 games there being missed over the course of the season in total, with 2 serious foot injuries really hampering his time in France so far, and that for me is a major concern. If you spend that much money, if you bring this player back, somebody there you're taking a huge risk on, you don't want injury baggage, you don't want them spending their time on the sidelines. The only thing really with injuries that I can look to almost put a positive spin on this for Neymar is looking at his last few seasons at Barcelona and his injury record before he moved to Paris Saint-Germain. Because you look at the 2016-17 season, all he missed 3 games. That's all that he missed in the entire season there. 16-17, just 3 matches there through injury. The season before was more, 11 games that he missed in total, but still, that's nowhere near how bad he's been in France. So the big question here for me is, what's causing these injuries? Is it simply a fact of Neymar developing, his body getting older, maybe shutting down as a footballer? You know that Brazilians at times can certainly peak at a younger age than most. Maybe now Neymar at the age of 27 is simply getting more injuries. Or is it something different? Is it a question of Neymar's training while he's been at Paris Saint-Germain? Is it a question of Neymar's motivation to get himself there out on the pitch at PSG? We know that right now he's not feeling good. You know that right now he doesn't really want to play for Paris Saint-Germain. Is it a lack of intensity in that training? Because if you don't turn up to training, and if you don't really put the work in, you don't work hard, you don't get your body up for it, you don't really try in those training sessions, you will be more susceptible for injuries. So is it the case here that Neymar is simply more injury prone now, or is it specifically tied to his time at PSG when maybe he hasn't really been giving it all in those training sessions and also potentially getting himself out there to play in those matches? That's the big question. Injuries, though, are not the only negative when it comes to Neymar's return, because certainly the money aspect of the entire deal is something that will not sit well with many of us Barcelona fans, because it is extortionate. We are talking here big money. The transfer fee will simply have to equal at least the value that we sold him for back in 2017, around 222 million euros, either with direct money or with the value of the players that we'll have to exchange and put Paris Saint-Germain's way. That's not it, though. That's not the only monetary concern there. There's certainly another big problem, and that all comes down to wages, because Neymar would return apparently on the terms that he left with in terms of his contract that he was on when he left in 2017. He would be expected here to earn around 425,000 per week, which would even include there him taking over 300,000 off his current wages. At Paris Saint-Germain, he is earning unbelievable money, and certainly when he returns, he'll take a wage cut, but at the same time, it's still big money. He would still there be the club's second highest earner behind Lionel Messi, and it's not all about the money either. It's not just about the big money, it's not just about the fact that it is going to cost a lot here, because of course, with marketing, with different things, you will reclaim some of that with Neymar because he is a massive star. But that's also part of the problem, is a lot of baggage that comes with Neymar. You talk about Neymar's father, somebody there who's not really the ideal person to have in and around your club, in and around different kind of negotiations. You also talk about the way that he used to return to Brazil and miss matches to actually go and visit his sister. That is a genuine concern, because if Neymar comes back for me, he has to make sacrifices of his own. If he wants to come back that bad, you've got to say to him, you won't be going to Brazil. You won't be missing games to go back to Brazil. It will not happen. You will take a pay cut. You will do this. You will do that. Because for me, if Neymar is that desperate to come back, if Neymar really does want to come back and show that he belongs here, well, you've got to make sacrifices too. You've got to meet us more than halfway to make this possible, because there are certainly things you'd need to change about Neymar. But my final 2 points here, guys, are very much open to interpretation. You might interpret them to be negatives, you might interpret them to be positives, and I want to know what you think about this, because the first thing that I would ask is this: what message does allowing Neymar to return send out to the rest of the world? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing to allow Neymar to return to Barcelona? Because in a negative sense, you could portray letting Neymar return to be really bad on our part. It's basically saying you can walk all over us, you can turn your back on us, you can slam the door as you leave, you can walk out away from Barcelona, but still, we'll let you back in. We will let you back in, even though you've hurt us massively badly in the past. And that would certainly be one interpretation of letting Neymar return, and that wouldn't be a good thing. That would not be a good image to portray to the rest of the footballing world. Or would it be something very different? Would it actually be saying to the rest of the footballing world, look, a player here thought the grass was greener, a player here thought that he could get better than Barcelona, but we're allowing Neymar to return just to highlight here that Barcelona is the best club, that you won't get better than what you've got here, and that this is the place to be. And by bringing Neymar back, you'd be highlighting that fact that Barcelona is the ultimate. You don't get better, you can't get better, and we've proven that by bringing Neymar back to the place that he left in 2017. And that's what I mean there. Two very different interpretations. Which one do you go with there? And the final point, again, very much open to interpretation, is all about sentiment. All about the memories that you have of Neymar, whether they be good or whether they be bad. Because as fans, we are not robots. We're not robots here because we're going to have opinions. We are going to have opinions, we are going to have feelings, and most importantly, as Barcelona fans, very passionate as we are, they're going to be strong ones. Either way, they're going to be very strongly for Neymar, or they're going to be very strongly opposed to Neymar. Because certainly, you're not really going to sit on the fence with this one. Usually, you're one side or the other. And there's no wrong answers. We're all going to have opinions on this, no doubt about it. But the question is, how do you feel? Do you want Neymar back? Do you miss him? Do you think that he can add to this team? Do you really like Neymar and actually want him to see him again in Barcelona colours? Or do you hate him? And the question that I would ask is this though. Do you hate him because he left and the way that he left? Which is certainly very justified. But that hate, that real strong hate, because I'll be honest with you, when Neymar left, I have never, ever been as angry with a player as I was Neymar. I love watching Neymar. I loved him in this team. I love what MSN represented. We reinvented attack-minded football, an attacking trio there. Nothing you'd ever seen was like MSN, and he was a massive part of that. And he had a great friendship with Messi, with Suárez, with the fans, and he turned all that away. And like I say, I was raging with Neymar. But deep down now, I know I was raging because I liked him that much. I was raging because I loved watching Neymar in a Barcelona shirt. But he threw that away. He turned his back on the club. And the question is, can we forgive him? Can we bring him back? Will we bring him back? And boy, what is your thoughts, guys? What do you make of this? Because the final thing that I would say about Neymar is this. He's a wonderful player. He certainly did wrong. If you don't want him back, I can absolutely understand why. And I still don't really know what we should do in this scenario. My head is saying, don't do it. It's a stupid deal. It's way too expensive. You don't want the extra baggage. Do not do it. But my inner feelings, my sentiment, my feelings, they are coming and saying, look, you had great times with this guy. He is a phenomenal player. If you get him fit, if you get him on the pitch, if you get his priorities right, he will make a big, big difference. And the problem for me is, we're not exactly brilliant without him. We haven't exactly torn up trees since Neymar has been gone. We haven't won the Champions League. If we were winning things right now, if we were really at the top of our game, I'd be saying no chance. Don't bother coming back. Don't even think about coming back, because quite clearly, we're better off without you. But that's the question right now. Are we better without Neymar? That is what we have to decide, and that's what you guys have to comment down below. Let me know what you think. I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and honestly, I just don't know which way this is going to go. Let me know in the comments down below, and of course, this one, oh, it'll go on, and on, and on. But until next time, as always, Vesca El Barça.